we'll just let that drone in the background. Let me know if it's too loud or whatever. So, hey everybody. I hope that was okay. The pieces are starting to come together, so let's see. Who is here? Let's see. Audrey, Animotion, Casual Noises, Craig, Geometric Humanoid. Are you new? Welcome. If you're not new, I missed you last time. Sorry. Garen, Mr. Hops, Music Smurf. We have Steve. What's the plural of Steve? Steve's? There's got to be a more entertaining plural of Steve's. We've got Steve and we've got Sonalucius. Studio 8FX, Andy, Synthetic, Wabbit, Wookie, Tracy, Trusto, Uncle Chrome. Hey, Vic Corftron, how's that Muse doing, man? Will Espin, nice, and Onyx, cool. Let's see if I've missed anybody. Uncle Chrome, Casual Noises. All right, if I missed anyone, I just went down the participants list. It was easier than trying to scroll back, but hope everything's okay. Doesn't translate in the chat. No, it does not, but that's okay. So, cool. Let's see. All right, so you guys like the jam. So, what's going on today? So, things are coming together more and more. I'm really not super into the whole camera thing, so I finally just said, screw it. We stuck a camera. That camera's actually sitting on the top shelf in a closet and pointing down on this. It's like way up there. So I hope that's fine. And the extent of my lighting is turning the lights off, putting this one on, and then the blinking lights. So then we've got this thing going on. Yeah, so basically when I pay off my current phone, I'll add that to the camera collection. Then we'll have 3 phones, so 3 cameras at that point. So what's going on? What I want to do today is talk about sequencing or how I build patterns. But before we get there, what's playing? You're hearing the Minimoog and the Sub 37. You weren't hearing the Minotaur and the K2, but you will. And then the drone is being done by the Matriarch with an addition of a bunch of modules in there. Let's see. Vic says, I get lost so much for hours in the Muse. Yeah, it happens to all of us, right? For all of our synths. you have to get to production. I understand. Just enjoy, right? Hey, hello, Cocoil. Greetings. Let's see. Will Espin used to be Will D. Okay, cool. All right, that's cool. Anyway, so let's talk about the drone. We'll get this out of the way. So this is the Matriarch. All right. So if I talk over this, it should duck me. So if you have trouble hearing me with this thing blaring in the background, let me know. I'm going to turn off the parts and bring them all in one at a time. There are 5 layers coming out of the Matriarch to make this drone. Okay. So if we bring them down. All right, so that's 2 saw oscillators, the Matriarch oscillators 1 and 2. Just doing its thing, right? And then we've got the other 2 oscillators, an octave above that, right? Nothing fancy. And those are actually, one's a square and one's the squish square. My brain's not working right now. When we take a square and we change its duty cycle, we get a pulse wave. There we go. The pulse wave. So that's a square and a pulse. All right. And those are the analog oscillators. And then I shoehorned some digital oscillators in here. So this is a wave table that's basically just being very slowly scanned. And it's kind of like going through the harmonic series. Like if you ever turn the cutoff knob on a low pass filter when the resonance is way up and you turn it really slowly, you'll hear it sort of hit and accentuate certain notes in the harmonic series. And that's what this is sort of simulating. Hey, Inverted Popes. Richard Olpen. Hey there, man. Shall forever be known as the squished square. Yeah. Pulse wave. The squishy square. All right. So that's a wavetable that's going. And then we've also got this. And this is just a square wave that is being synced, and it's very slowly sort of going through the sync stuff. You hear it rising. You're coming down, right? Let's see. What's in the bottle? So, every couple of weeks, I buy 3 bottles of vitamin water. And then these are the right size bottle for me. They're 20 ounces. I try and get 100 ounces a day, so I got to drink 5 of these water. But I don't drink vitamin water, but like 3 times a month, I buy the 3 bottles and then drink them. And then I just keep refilling it with water. So this is not Everclear. It's not moonshine. It's not vodka. It's just water. So I don't drink alcohol anymore. I drank a whole lot of alcohol on my 19th birthday, which was also the 4th of July. I'm not born on the 4th of July. I'm born just before that. And when I was 19 in college, and I basically drank way too much and woke up in the middle of the night with alcohol-induced atrial fibrillation, which is a permanent thing. And so I've had it my entire life because of that one stupid incident. So I don't actually drink. Let's see. All right, so that's the sync square, okay? And 19th birthday was a few years ago. Yeah, I was living in Gainesville, Florida, and I was engaged to my wife. And then the last, so those are the 4 layers, and then the last layer, that's another digital oscillator. That's a Vert Interlegio. It's a stereo oscillator, so its chorus is running. It's nice and wide. So when I bring them all in, there we go. We get our drone. All right. And it's being processed in the box over here in the Ableton land. Just using Ableton as a fancy mixer and an effects chain. So it's got a chorus on it and a delay and running through a Valhalla shimmer reverb. And when I hit a note, the filter opens and then closes very slowly, so we get that wow. Okay. And the pulsing you're hearing, that's a little gate sequencer here that's running off the clock. It's a, what's it called? It's a Steppy from IntelliGel. It's a very nice gate sequencer. And it's just got this pattern running on it. And I'm sorry, I don't have when I pay off the phone, when I pay off this phone, I'll make it the 3rd camera and we'll move it around and point it at shit when people really want to see that stuff. Okay, so, but that's it. So we've got this pulse, right, running. And I've got it on hold, so it just does its thing. All right, so that's our drone. Sort of pulsing drone. Let's see, what am I missing here? Yeah, Tales of a Florida Man. Yep. Hey, Soup. Good to see you. Isaac Ensing. Who else snuck in here while I was blathering on? If drinking is a race, you won. Yeah. So also now, so I'm not diabetic yet, but I've got a glucose monitor stapled to the back of this arm, and I'm playing a new game with a friend at work because he's got one too. When we first got him, you got a little thing on your phone that shows your current glucose level. We're playing this game. We're not actually playing it, but we suggested this game called, hey, let's go get a pile of Snickers bars and we'll play this game called Race to 350. Who can get their blood glucose to 350 first and then die. But anyway, it's just like the drinking thing. Who first one to AFib? No, it's not a win. Let's see. Uncle Crumb says we would cruise UF when the frats had rush parties. Yeah. UF. I was at UF. I didn't go to UF. I lived in Gainesville, and I was working in tech at the time, right? Prepress, digital prepress, and it was great. It's a great college town. Gainesville's a beautiful town, wonderful place. I assume it is still good. I haven't been back in a long time, but yeah, it was. I lived there with my wife during the Steve Spurrier, Danny Werfel years when the Gators were undefeated for like 4 years straight. It was awesome. It's good to be there and just sort of like live vicariously through these people who are winning everything they touch. So, hey, man with beard. Let's see. Oh, Onyx. I didn't know that. Al Ghul, like Ra's al Ghul from Batman. The Ghoul. Okay, cool. Alcohol. Glucose Defender. Hey, John. John. I'm sorry, Joe. Hi, Joe. I only work with you every day. Yeah, we're playing Glucose Defender. It's awesome. Let's see. What else we got in here? People sticking in. Hey, Trusto. All right, we got the drone going. Trusto was giving us an awesome virtual roller coaster ride earlier today. He was mowing his lawn on the fastest riding lawnmower I've ever seen, and was live streaming it. It was awesome. Let's see. Okay, you guys are doing the hellos. So we have the drone going. Okay. Then, so what I'm doing today is we've got patterns on Metropolix. So this Metropolix is controlling the Minotaur and the K2, and this Metropolix is controlling the Minimoog and the Sub 37. So let me bring the Minimoog's pattern in. Let's turn the glide down. And then, so the Minimoog's doing its thing. I have the subsequence muted currently. It's got a pattern in here as well. And I just used it as a lead. All right. So actually, let's do this. Let's stop the drone for a sec. So I'm going to do this explanation once. I'm going to be explaining this here. This is the Metropolix. I don't do module demos, but it's good to explain this kind of sequencer, how it works. All right. And this is the first time I've ever done this where you can actually see what the hell I'm talking about. So I used to judge sequencers by how many steps they had. The more steps a sequencer had, I would be like, that's a better sequencer. 5 steps, 8 steps, 16 steps, 64 steps. More is obviously better. And you could argue that to this day. That's fine. But then I discovered this thing, and I find this to be the most musical and fun sequencer to play. That's my opinion. Okay. I'm going to bring it down just a tiny bit. All right. So I just want to explain what you're seeing here, because in a minute I'm going to explain this. There's no patterns in this one, and this one's got a couple patterns in it. I'm going to build a pattern here. We're just going to walk through it, and then we'll play some more. Okay. So when you're talking about sequencers, arguably more steps is better. This sequencer only has 8. It doesn't really think of them as steps. It calls them stages. All right. So these 8 little lights that are lighting up here, these are the stages 1 through 8. And these sliders go up and down and let you set the note. All right. Below here, to go with each stage, is a slider that goes from 1 to 8, and it's pulse counts. So the clock is ticking away here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So that's this clock. That is a pulse. All right. So these pulses are set. This one's set for 4. So when you see this light up, it'll stay lit for 4 pulses. So when it comes around, let's see, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's because this slider is set for 4. Okay. There are, Sigurtron says, there are 64 stages though. This, I don't want to get into that level of complexity. I'm just showing this from a hardware, from the physical controls perspective, Andy. So, shh, don't look behind the curtain. Don't ignore that man behind the curtain. 8 stages. Okay. Yes, life is but a stage, and we are all merely digital players. Or is that where you're going with that, Craig? Yeah, Steve finished it. Cool. Oh wait, someone mentioned David Hasselhoff. David Hasselhoff tore the wall down. Oh, what are you guys talking about? I'm missing this. If there's Knight Rider references going on, I want in. So. Oh, Ben Berman. Okay, you guys keep talking. Anyway, so you got these stages, and you set the number of pulses per stage, and you could tell each note when it plays to play once or play every pulse, right? So this is set for once. But if I tell it, I can tell it to play all the pulses. Right? That's just a little switch here. So it's very playable. You can get in here and change the pulses and change the way the behavior is. I'm just scratching the surface. Okay. Lots of features under here, as Andy is quick to mention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this pattern up. All right. And I'm going to move over here. I am going to start this pattern. Let's see. I think it's already playing, actually. Yeah. All right. So we're going to build a Berlin School pattern right here. And then we're going to play with it. Okay. Let's see. Hey, Kenneth. Welcome aboard, or welcome back, whichever it is. All right. So the way this is working right now is all of the stages are turned off except the first one. Right? And they all have a pulse count of 2 except the first one. Actually, they all have a pulse count of 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. So I'm going to increase the pulse count on this one. But before I do that, one thing you could do that's really smart about this sequencer, what makes it musical, is you can go in and tell it how many stages you want it to use. So it's going to use all of the 8 stages. That's at number 8 there. And then you can also tell it how many pulses it should use before it starts over at the beginning again. All right. And right now it's on auto, but I'm going to tell it something simple, 4. Actually, a little bit more than that. Let's see. Let's do 8. Oh, you know what? It's the one bad thing about this. You can edit the wrong, I'm editing the wrong sequence. Here we go. There we go. So it's already set. It's going to use all 8 stages, and it's got 16 pulses worth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can't count past 8. I must be a bass player. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, dear God. Anyway, so there's 16 pulses taking it through these stages, all right? So I am going to set some notes for these. I'm going to turn them on. Let's turn that one on, that one on. All right, so this one, this one, this one, and this one. So I'm going to change their pitches now, okay? Craig RTFM. I have read the manual. Fuck you. Oh, hold on. Does Control R work on hardware like on software? Yeah. All right, so let's add some notes here. So we're going to change this one. All right, so I've put in 4 notes on these sliders, and there's our pattern, okay? Now, it's using all 8 stages, and it's using it 16 pulses to keep track of stuff. Well, you can go in and you could tell it use fewer stages, and it'll change your sequence. This is where it gets really musical. This thing's really playable. So now I've told it to only use 6 stages, and basically it wraps around at the beginning and then eventually resets. Oh, we got a bunch of bass player jokes. All right, so we can break it down even more. Now we're only using 4 stages, and it's still musical. It still keeps in time with everything. These are awesome sequencers for Berlin School. Let me tell you, man. And each one can control 2 instruments. Okay. It was about Berlin and Hasselhoff. Okay. Hey, Martin. Let's see. Lamont. Anyone else sneak in? Nope. Okay. All right. So there's a Berlin School pattern. Okay. Now I've got some patterns over in here already. Let me turn one of them on. What do you call a bass player to suit a defendant? You can do that about whatever your particular player, instrument player in general. You can say the same for guitarists or drummers or whatever, right? All right, so I've got 2 patterns playing, right? And these are interesting, and I could play over them. Now, what I've got going, one thing I've got wired up here, this thing speaks MIDI, and they also speak CV. So I've got the CV for the pitch coming out the matriarch. It's coming into these boxes so that when I play notes on the matriarch, it will transpose these things, right? I talked about this last January, right? So I didn't change any of these notes, but I changed the current pitch tuning by hitting a key on the matriarch, and it retunes these. I love that. I need more hands though, because I'll be playing and then I need like a prehensile tail to make changes with. Is the pitch output on the Metropolix quantized? Yes, it is, Isaac. It outputs pitch CV quantized or MIDI, so I'm using it actually to drive MIDI synths. So I'm, bad lip reading. Wabbit. The only time I've ever asked anyone for their soul, so back in Gainesville, I had a friend who, one of his favorite pastimes was going to the McDonald's drive-thru and asking for the attendant's soul. He's like, I'd like a Big Mac, a small fry, a large Coke, and your eternal soul. He just got the biggest kick out of doing that. Could use the Metropolix to quantize transpose from other inputs. Yeah, so all of the jacks on the front of the Metropolix that take CV, the CV is targetable. You tell it what parameter within the system you want it to target. And I've got it targeting pitch pre-quantization. So it takes the CV value, the voltage on the CV, adds it to the current note stage's value, and then quantizes it to the scale I'm working in. It works well. So technically the Metropolix are set for C major right now because I just want all white keys. So if I hit C, that's 0 volts. That particular C is 0 volts coming out of the matriarch. And so these are now unpitch shifted and they're playing in C major, right? But if I drone an A, right, these are effectively tonally in Aeolian or A minor, right? And then you play over it. But if I hit C, I could play something, you know, happy. So the C key is the Andy key, right? Yes, exactly, Craig. Let's see. There you go. Exactly. Anyway, so that's in a nutshell how the sequencers work. I think you put notes in the stages. And then you specify how many pulses of the clock you want those notes to play for, and whether they should play a single note or play multiple notes or not play at all. And then basically you can control how many stages it's going to be playing. Let me do this. So this is back to that, just that base sequence. You can control how many stages it should be going through and how many pulses it should go through. Now, I like to set it to a variable number of stages because I like to play with that, but I generally like to have it at about 32 pulse counts. So it sort of plays through twice. And I guess to Andy's point, I think the maximum pulse count, I don't know what the maximum pulse count is. Let's see. 64. So the maximum pulse count is 64. So if you have only one pulse per stage, you can get 8 total passes through all the stages. So whatever that works. I'll leave that now. Let's bring it down. I might need to reset it. All right, let's see. So that's sequencing in a nutshell. Let's see. Is there any software sequencer with the same facilities? I'm sure there is. There's got to be. If nothing else, I'm sure these are available in like VCV Rack. Someone's built a Metropolis in there, or Metropolix. This is based off of, I've forgotten the history of it. This particular approach to sequencing is based off, I think, a really old Roland or Korg modular sequencer from the 80s or 70s or something like that. So it's like somebody had that, and someone built an evolution of that, and then IntelliGel built an evolution of that. If you go to the IntelliGel site for Metropolix, they've got the history there. They don't say, look what we invented. They say this is based on X, Y, and Z. So yeah, Stepic. Yeah, Stepic can do anything though, right? And what's the other one from 512 Systems? The software sequencer from there. I like that one too. Numerology. That's another one, numerology. But I think that's Mac only, so. Okay. Let's see. How do you make the passes different? So the way you make the passes different is there's 2 tracks, and then there's actually a 3rd track. It's called the modulation track. And it has 8. It within itself has 8 tracks that you can target anywhere you want. So you basically do modulation sequences out to target track 1 and track 2. So you can really make it completely different over time. I'm just not right now. This is boring. You can also add ratchets and things like that. So let's talk about that. Let's put in a ratchet. Pardon my bad eyes. Nope. There you go, ratchet. Got to make sure you're on the right sequence. All right, we'll put a ratchet here. So that's a ratchet of 2. Here's one of 4. Okay, so we'll keep that. All right, so we've got a ratchet set here. You can put those kind of variations in there. There's probability and things like that. You can set, stochastic behavior to skip things occasionally, things like that. But you can also put in these are my favorite thing. This is called an accumulator. Accumulator is a little, it's basically like a variable, a number that's currently set to 0. And you can set it so that when a pulse fires here, it'll increase or decrease the note value of that note based on whether the accumulator is set to whatever. So I'm going to say every time you pulse, add 1. Right, so there's your variation that is interesting. It's not random because it will wrap. So every 2 passes through the stages, we get a repetition now. And this is 2, right? So let's put in another one here. So this stage is going to keep going up. And eventually you set a limit. So you say once you get here, either stay there, or you could say wrap around to below the beginning, etc. I should probably be looking at the chat, sorry. Yeah, the pitch slider's quantized to the nearest scale. I think you can turn that off, but the range is settable. Like right now I've got a 2-octave range on the sliders, but I think it can be 1 octave or more, I believe. Let's see. I'm going to bring the drone back in, actually. All right. What am I missing in the chat here? Hey, Viral. Davey. Hey, Davey. Lemon Delight. Wabbit, accumulators where collectors hold. Absolutely. Yeah, accumulators are definitely a very powerful and important piece of the Metropolix. Are there vacuumulators too? Maybe. RTFM, right? Oh God, Wabbit. Let's see. I'm going to change this. Actually, I'll leave it there. Now, the thing is, this sequence we built is on channel 2. It's controlling the K2. The same sequence is being sent to the Minotaur on channel 1, but we can change around the accumulators and things like that, the length and number of stages, so that they sound different. So if I turn the Minotaur on, actually, get rid of the drone. Let's bring the Minotaur in. Now, the Minotaur is different already because I've got the stages set differently. Right, the Minotaur is only using the first, it's only going for 8 pulses, right? So if I increase this to 32, there we go. So the Minotaur is an octave below, and it doesn't have any accumulators on it or ratchets, so it's not doing the same thing. It's similar, it's related harmonically. This is what makes this one of the things that makes the sequencer so awesome, because your input of what you want from a music theory perspective, from a tonality perspective, affects both sequences, but you can put different variation in them, but they'll still stay related. You can totally force them to not be related. You can make dissonance if you want, but it's just really musical right off the bat. Let's add a different, let's add a ratchet to the, go. So now I've got two sequences that are related but different. So. I don't even want to know what we're talking about as far as dogs that cook your evening meal. It's okay. Hey, I sing the Body Electric. I'm going to bring the drone back in. Now, when I transpose these, they'll still be in key. Okay, Wiki. You got to train them better then, man. Sorry. I hope we're actually talking about a dog and not like your spouse. That would be in poor taste. Casual noises. Yeah, it's not a short manual. It is fairly long, right? Hey, Biscuit. Hey, Tracy. Let's play over this just a little bit. Mixer went to sleep. Stay awake. Okay, so in screwing around the sequencer, I got the sequencer downbeat out of sync. All right. Okay, so we reset. Let's start everything up. There we go. Let me let this play for a little bit. And I'm going to catch up on the chat. Hang on. Kenneth. If I missed anyone when you came in, I'm sorry. Jay Silence, Enzo. Digital Sleep. Thanks, Jeff. How's the level? That was the discussion today, was like, are the levels good as far as the mic ducking appropriately, but also the overall level coming through YouTube? I'm capping out around negative 6 dB. We'll see what happens. Thanks, Karen. Training the new visualizer. Steve, I don't know what UR599 means. You'll have to explain it to me. Let's change this sequence up a bit. I could just keep doing transpositions. Once you get the patterns cooking, and then you just mess with these, and then you go back in here and you start changing the pattern lengths. Now there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. So I'm going to bring some of these patterns out. I'm just going to bring them out by turning the volumes down. Hey, Toroid Labs. Thanks, Steve, for explaining that. These knobs here are octave shifts for the sequences. So 1, 2, 3, 4, can move them around. So the mini mode here, just turn it up to jump up an octave. And there we go. So, keep that rolling. Little drone in the background. Coming up on 2:56, heading on towards 3 p.m. Been rolling for a little over an hour. And I think I'm going to wind it up here because I do want to go watch some friends stream. Let's see. I sing the body. Yeah, I do like the... Even with way too much reverb and delay on it, it still sounds good. Let's just tame that delay just a little bit. Hold on a second. It's 2:57. We'll do one thing for Audrey here. Ooh, pull that out of the ass crack there. Oh, one last thing. I know I'm getting close to 3 o'clock. When you turn up the resonance on the Moog, filter, you'll lose the low end. On the Matriarch, this is also true. And I've installed an EQ to offset that, to bump the low end. So if we were to drone here, and turn the resonance up, we're losing low end, allegedly, but I can turn the bass up here. To offset that. Oh, I think I just tripped the compressor. Playtime. All right. Audrey, that was for you. It's pronounced g, whatever you want in the middle. So let's bring this down. There we go. So it's 3 o'clock. I'm calling it a day. Thank you everyone for showing up. I hope this was entertaining, groovy, spacey moments of floatingness, and also informative for at least instilling gas in people. So buy more synths. Thank you all for coming. And really that's about it. I'm going to go watch the Symptoms of Reality stream, which I think is starting right now. And I will talk to you guys later. Okay. So let me shut her down. Have a good one.